I'm Del Shores.
And I'm Emerson Collins, and this is the Del and Emerson Show.
Straight talk.
And also very gay. Hey, y'all, it's fucking Friday.
Did you just see how I slid in?
For those of you listening at home later to iTunes or Spotify, we came up on camera and Del Shores wasn't even there. Right before he said, I'm going to go close the blinds and turn on the air conditioner and I'll be back before it is time to start. And he just barely was.
Well, it wasn't only that, Emerson. I just realized as my dogs are like, you know, that walk that they love, and they just start like looking at me and whining. And I'm like, what's going on? And I thought, forgot to give them their treats. And so I was trying to turn on the air. The gardeners, the trash person is here. And boy, we've had a week. Boy, we have had a week.
We right before we usually do our what stories do we have for discussion time, and we both nothing. There is like so much going on. We're so excited for this live stream on Sunday. We just did our like tech check, and there's some like difficulties I need to work on tonight and tomorrow. And we're trying to leave town next week to go do a very sort of wedding. So I said, let's just bring our honest current mental states into the discussion.
And I don't feel you look pretty.
That was the most important thing he said. Y'all give Del some comments on his visual aesthetic.
Well, you know, it's like I usually have a little time to go like juice the hair and maybe put on a little bit of eyebrow pencil because my eyebrows are like albino. And
Del Shores, mine have started to go in photos. Sometimes this part over here starts to fade out. I'm about to have to get me a pencil.
Oh, I have the best one. Miss D'Angelo, you know, she knows everything. She told me which pencil to get.
Oh, so good.
Anyway, so I didn't even put, any powder on to take the shine away, y'all. I didn't bleach my teeth. I'm so sorry.
Just nothing. We just rolled out in here. Okay, now we're theoretically going to have a big show. I have said we're going to cover Pete and Chasten, Afghanistan, a MasturBishop, 4-day work week, Peter LaBarbera and Pray Away, OnlyFans, Monderna HIV trials, Date Fairy Godmother, Out Paralympians, Barbra, Beyonce, and Gaga, and more. We'll see what we get to.
Yes, we will. We may just get started. Oh, and there's one other thing that's just pissing me off. The Amazon guy leaves packages for the people behind me way down the road and around the corner for me to deliver at my door. And I'm like, wait a second. I'm not working for Amazon.
You're the last mile carrier.
But you know what? I'm such a codependent. I always walk over there and put their packages in front of their door, even though today I opened it with a scissors before I realized it wasn't mine. I thought, I didn't order this perfume.
I would do that every time until they stopped dropping them at my door. I'd be like, sorry, this was at my house. Good luck with that dildo. Oh, you ordered some chocolates. Oh, a caftan. You know, I just feel like you need to tell the delivery people to stop dropping it at my house or I'm going to keep going through your crap.
Yeah, right.
We did also have a delightful lunch today, a family lunch, if you will, with Louise Beard and Rosemary Newell and Ann that just warmed my heart before my afternoon went awry.
Oh, we had such a great time. Louise is sitting to the right of me right now. So if you hear laughter, she's always such the greatest audience. And she's in her house dress. She just brings these house dresses and has no bra on, and we don't care. We just, it's just me and Louise. It's me and Lulu. We got me and Lulu. I don't give a shit. So, yeah. So she said, if I don't, I said, sit there, listen to the show. She said, as long as I don't have to be on camera. I said, oh, honey, I'm not asking you to be on camera.
We're not looking for a third co-host. We prefer a silent partner.
Did you see her grabbing that? Did you see that hand getting that wine?
Tell them what it is.
It's non-alcoholic wine.
Hold on, we have to back up. Dwayne Pierce said they make brow wigs.
Oh my!
Is that like a merkin for your face?
I did not know that.
I feel like a brow wig would be noticeable. I mean, I get it for people who have alopecia or who've had chemo or various things that you might, drag queens. Whoopi Goldberg, just shave them off.
Emerson, when you were doing drama in high school, did you ever do a role with a mustache and you had to put the spirit gum?
Okay, I can go Y'all, I did a production of A Doll's House in high school at the Singapore American School. And when I tell you I was so bad in this play, I mean, I don't mean a little bit bad. I mean, my lovely high school theater director in this Ibsen play, first of all, I look back at the direction and think, bless her heart, that she was having to try to do this play with us. But she told me that my character, Dr. Niels Krogstad, I believe is his name, that sometimes he gets a little nervous and he like rubs his hands together and then he catches himself and he hides them. Well, apparently I took that as the entire character note and the only behavior of this gentleman. Because after the opening night of the play, the other guy in the play, his father, who was the bishop of the Mormon church in Singapore, I believe, came up to me afterwards and said, "You almost rubbed your hands raw up there." I might have committed to this physicalization of this character a little too much.
And it was like you had rubbed other things raw, but never your hands. Your hands are the ones that get raw.
Exactly, like at most a callus.
Well, when I was I think I was a junior, a sophomore in high school, we did some play called Blue Stocking. One of the classics. And it was, and I remember I wanted to play Grandpa Luckett, who was like 85 years old. And I decided, I made the choice that I would have a white beard.
Yes.
And, it was like you just had one show.
Yeah.
It was the hugest mistake. The next day, I was just red from that spirit gum. And, they don't teach you. They teach you to put it on. They don't teach you to take it off.
You can tell what kind of day I'm having that I told you all about the hands and didn't even get to the mustache. The mustache that I
you had a mustache too?
Yeah, that was the real point of the story. But it wasn't the like pre-made solid mustache. They made it out of like individual strands of hair. So it was like pinched here and then spirit gummed. So the individual hairs would just fall and be in my mouth. I must have spent half the play doing this and the other half going
what?
Trying to spit a hair.
It wasn't. What did you? Those Halloween ones where it's a clip on in your nose.
That doesn't seem practical.
But wait a second. I'm very interested. Is that so? When you did this mustache, did you take it when you took it off? I mean, you probably had more than one show. We only had one in Zapata.
Yeah.
Did it leave like red?
Yes.
Yeah.
We had spirit gum remover that you like brush it up underneath it across as you go, but it's still, my face is sensitive.
Well, Emerson, we couldn't afford the remover. We barely had the budget for the spirit gum.
That was it, like that. Otherwise, you'd have just been holding it for yourself. The other big thing, obviously, we'll talk about it again at the end. We have our giant, exciting Southern Baptist Sissies 20th anniversary reunion celebration live stream on Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. At this point, if you're watching our show and you don't know who's going to be there and what we're going to do, I don't know what you've been paying attention to. It is not a reading. A couple of people were confused. Y'all, Sissies ends horribly depressing until the last second. And that's not a good way to raise money. You don't depress people into opening their pocketbook.
Well, it sort of ends a little with hope,
Yeah,
I mean, but before that.
For a long time before that, it's not. And wait, hey, y'all want to see? I have something special. Also, y'all can help me with something. Y'all want to see a special clip that in the show? I didn't even tell you I was going to do this because I'm having a challenge. All these clips that I'm putting together. It seems like the movie clips are softer than the play clips. So I don't need you to tell me whether that's what you hear or not. I need you to tell me, even though the movie clip is a little softer, can you hear and understand what's happening? So here's a fun little clip of Newell Alexander, who played the preacher in every single version of Southern Baptist Sissies with Del Shore since 2000. I put together a montage of his very famous Easter Bunny sermon that starts with the 2000 production, goes to the 2002, and finishes with the movie. But you have homework. At the end of it, tell me, could you understand the movie, even if it was a little softer? Here we go.
Homework, y'all.
Well, I see we have some once, maybe twice a year Christians here today. You darken our door on Easter and around Christmas. You think that's enough to keep your reservation in heaven? Well, I'm going to tell you the truth. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it either, because God is speaking through me here today. Now you can have a part-time job. You can have a part-time hobby. But you cannot have a part-time religion. You cannot be a part-time Christian. You can't mix the carnal, the secular with the spiritual life. You can't worship Jesus, celebrate his resurrection, and then make the Easter bunny more important. Well, these pagan rituals tick me off. They really do. There was no Easter bunny running around Golgotha. There were no eggs hidden behind the thief's feet on the cross. And there was no chocolate-covered bunnies hidden in the tomb.
And Mary Magdalene, you know Mary Magdalene, did not have an Easter egg coloring party for the disciples on the night before Christ arose. Let me tell you something else. There was no elves in the manger with baby Jesus.
Amen.
There were no reindeer mingling with the calves and the donkeys. And Santa Claus did not leave gifts for our Savior and put them underneath the Christmas tree. You cannot mix it all up, my brethren. It just does not work like that. Oh, don't get me started on Halloween.
All right.
I love that. It's also such a testament to his talent. You know, I think about Rosemary and Newell and Leslie and Ann and Dale and doing it for so many years, how cool it is to see the consistency of a great performance as well.
So it seems like the consensus in the room in the chat room is that it works just fine, Emerson. So it could be my old ears and my computer that I
got to be honest. We come up with these ideas and say we're going to do these things, and of course we're going to play all these clips and things, and I'm going to spend 2.5 hours on Sunday night going, please don't let the internet cause problems. Please don't let the internet cause problems. Guys, I'm going to try tonight to see if I can make the movie clips a little louder before y'all see it.
But before we go on, Emerson, I just want to tell everybody watching, first of all, thank you that you're enthusiastic about seeing this, because it's as y'all know, this is my favorite child. It's my favorite play I've ever written. It's the story of my life, and the response has been so crazy over the years, and it makes me so happy to have Emerson, who has been with me since 2006 as Benny, and then all the incarnations ever since through the movie playing Mark. But most of all, I want to say Emerson Collins put this, like he does this show, put everything together. So it is a testament to your amazing work ethic, for one thing. And we're just excited to share this with you, and also to do something very special, twofold really. I know that you felt it when you watched Newell Alexander in that theater, how much we miss live theater. And for us to be able to give back to all of these theaters that have produced my work, many of them produce Southern Baptist Sissies, but also we are launching this writer's search where we want to find Southern LGBTQ plus storytellers and to help facilitate getting their stories made. So there's my big pitch for y'all. Please tell everybody, tell your rich friends, especially your rich friends with a soft heart. Because
I know, let's be honest, I do all this work because I can't write a check. Y'all, once I make that money and I can write checks, you ain't gonna see me doing nothing. I'm gonna say, here's a big check. Good luck with all that shit.
We need to talk to all those rich people that were in the play that are now rich to make sure they donate.
But seriously, and remember, y'all, we know not everybody can afford. The biggest thing you can do is join us live on Sunday, comment along, tell us what you're enjoying, what you're not, share the broadcast with everybody. The more you comment, the more people will see it in their feeds, the more people we get live. And if you can't watch live, it will stay on YouTube and Facebook forever, because it's not a reading. That's part of why we didn't do a reading. There's no union issues. So people can watch it whenever they want in the coming weeks, and all donations to this fundraiser campaign through the end of August will go to this split.
Absolutely.
So that's our big commercial.
All right.
Say a little prayer for Spectrum. You know, I work.
For Spectrum.
It's like I'm not praying to Jesus so much anymore, but I sure pray to Spectrum a lot.
It is the worst nightmare when you have, you know, an important meeting on Zoom and then suddenly you get that notice from Spectrum. Oh, the area is going to be down for 2 hours.
Yes.
I have said, fuck you, Spectrum, many times this year. So,
yes. All right, on to the news.
All right. Well, we've got some good news. Tuesday, our Transportation Secretary, Mayor Pete and Chasten, announced that they are parents. They are already parents. And Buttigieg posted for some time, Chasten and I have wanted to grow our family. We are overjoyed to share that we have become parents. The process isn't done yet, and we're thankful for the love, support, and respect for our privacy that has been offered to us, but we cannot wait to share more. And we wait patiently, yes, to see.
Yes. And we love that for them. And super exciting. Moving on quickly, the situation in Afghanistan is obviously incredibly complicated, both politically, and there's giant arguments we're not going to get into, since what we focus on here is the LGBTQ news. Y'all know what I care about is what can we do that's useful, that's concrete, that's productive. And obviously, as the Taliban take over, there's worldwide concern about their extremist beliefs, the effect that will have on girls, on women's rights, and LGBTQ plus people. Rainbow Railroad, we've talked about them a number of times, put out a strong statement saying partially, Afghanistan is already not a safe place to be LGBTQI people. According to the US State Department, public attitudes across the diversity of Afghan society towards LGBTQI people are extremely negative. Although it remains to be seen how the Taliban will respond to international pressure to uphold human rights, early signs are not encouraging. Just last month, a Taliban judge threatened that gay men will be crushed to death by toppling walls onto them should the group regain control of Afghanistan. Rainbow Railroads received 50 requests from Afghanistan this year. They expect that number to go up explosively in the coming weeks and months. They said, moreover, there are very limited human rights defenders and civil society engagement to support LGBTQI persons at risk. However, we are currently relying on our deep international network and contacts within the country in order to reach people at risk. Obviously, they want governments to support LGBTQ refugees. They're fielding 3,000 to 4,000 requests for help around the world a year. So there aren't LGBTQ organizations there to give to. Rainbow Railroad is the one I have found that will likely be most specifically working with people. So if you sit in your what do we do frustration, donate to rainbowrailroad.org. That's what I will be doing this week as the small thing we can do on an incredibly difficult situation.
Right. And, you know, as I'm watching the news, you guys know I'm a news junkie. So you see so much in the news about women. And yes, that their plight is in danger. And I'm loving some of the bravery of school teachers there and you know, that mayor who is speaking out. And hopefully there will be some changes. I don't know. But it's going to be a struggle for them. But we have not heard this story, and so I'm so glad you gave us that, Emerson.
I mean, the BBC had a horrible one from a gay guy who was like, "I haven't left my house since this started." Women that are refusing to leave the house out of fear. I mean, it's going. The darkness there is going.
It's just horrific watching that baby being passed over a fence this morning. It was just, it's heartbreaking. All right, and I don't know if this is lighter news or if it's just, you know, I do.
I think this is lighter hypocrisy. I definitely.
It's lighter hypocrisy. I love. Yeah, I don't always read these headlines, but Emerson so cleverly gives us headline or gives me headlines. But I must read this headline. He just named this simply MasturBishop and spelled it MASTUR. Okay, so that bishop right there, that. Happy. He looks happy. Last week, images made the rounds of Brazilian Bishop Tomé Ferreira da Silva semi-nude and masturbating during a video call with another man. His diocese in São Paulo covers 500,000 Catholics, and he confirmed the man in the video was him. He said, "Oh yeah, that's me. He believes the video was released by someone he lives with, and he reported it to the police. In 2015, he was accused of taking church money. They let that slide, by the way, and giving it to his driver, who he allegedly had a romantic relationship with. Now, this is it's wonderful. The Pope accepted his resignation on Wednesday. I love that he resigned. I'm sure that there was some pressure, you know.
But also, it's like they shift priests around the world on, by train, plane, automobile, and broomstick to keep from firing them. This was clear. They must have wanted him gone.
Well, I think it was too much. They said, you know what? You stole that money. We let you slide. You gave it to your driver lover. And now
you were Winnie the Pooh in it on Zoom, and that's just a bridge too far.
Jeffrey Tubin it.
Yes. Yes.
If you didn't get that reference, I'm good with that.
If you didn't, look it up. It's just you got to learn when your camera's on or not.
Yeah.
What's up? Nothing. What? The next one. This next one comes from out California, Representative. Well, I lost his name. Well, anyway, this out California representative has introduced something I want us to discuss. The 32-Hour Workweek Act. It would amend the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938. That's a long time ago. We could update it. To create a 4-day work week nationwide. Employers would pay time and a half beyond 32 hours. The release said multiple studies have shown that shorter work weeks improve worker morale, quality of life, and child care expenses. They also reduce healthcare premiums for employers, reduce employee sick days, and lower operational costs. Now, just in case you think this is just people wanting to work less, which is true, Iceland ran a trial program for 4 years, 2015 to 2019, reducing 40-hour work weeks to 35 or 36. So it was 4.5 days without reducing pay, and found it improved productivity. Now, 86% of Iceland have reduced work weeks or could negotiate for them if they wanted to. Conservative politicians opposed the idea, afraid it would be a burden on already struggling small businesses and reduce productivity.
That's Mark Takano, by the way. Mark Takano.
Yes. Now, y'all, I'm obviously for it, but I haven't had a 5-day work week since I graduated from college. Like, you know how I'm going to spend my Friday night? I'm going to be trying to figure out how to up the sound levels on 40-minute videos that we're going to play for you on Sunday. And then tomorrow I'm going to upload them. And then on Sunday, I'm going to spend all morning getting it ready. Like, our work days are whatever. But for those of you that work I go to job in order to support the rest of my life. How do y'all feel about it?
I'm all for it too, John Martin. More time for theater. I love that.
Erica said I get paid 40 hours for 38.5 hours of work. I don't know that 1.5 makes a difference unless it's like showing up Monday morning at 9:30 instead of 8. But I think about, I think about how many other cultures. In France, I feel like they only work 100 days a year. It feels like they're all, they work 4 days a week. They take 8-week vacations. There's whole cultures that take like the month of August off and everyone goes to the Black Sea or whatever.
Well, there's also, cultures that just nap a lot.
I'm a big, yes.
Spain, you go to Spain, what is it, like noon to 2? Everything's closed.
Makes sense. That's why they have those late night dinners. That is much my preferred lifestyle.
Oh, that was late night dinners where dinner started about 10:30 or something.
But it's a peculiarly American institution, I feel like, a part of our like aspirational pull yourself up by your bootstraps, that like fantasy that we sell, that like everybody has equal opportunity, which isn't true. That like it's a brag to say, oh, I worked an 80-hour week. That we find it impressive, people that work too much, that work too hard, whose job is their whole life, whole world, as something to aspire to. Obviously, we all do different kinds of work. Some people work to live. They work in order to afford and do the things they want to do and that kind of life. And some of us have made our passion our work. But I don't think it should be a requirement. to work yourself to death.
No, it should not. And if you do, you should get overtime. That's
well, yeah. Xana said overnight shifts on TV production are usually 4 10-hour shifts, so the overnight people can get some kind of weekend. Nurses are similar, where it's 4 nights, they work 4 nights, 12 hours or whatever. But yeah, I think we just work ourselves too hard for too little. There are other ways to make this all work out.
Go for it. Go for it, Mark.
Make it happen.
Yeah. All right. We in our bigotry news, Peter LaBarbera, is that the way he's named? Yeah, he's the founder of Americans for Truth About Homosexuality. He's kind of faded, his little star faded into bigot obscurity. Look at him. Just look at him. He just looks like a red-faced bigot.
Bigot from the bygone era.
Yes, but they need some help. He just wrote a review on the new Netflix documentary Pray Away that I have not seen yet. I need to watch that. It looks like as some of the new out leaders, of the ex-gay conversion industry, ex-gay conversion therapy industry, and the trauma that it causes. And so this bigot says, as a veteran conservative culture warrior who has fought big LGBTQ activists for decades and who worked alongside several of Pray Away's interview subjects before they jumped to the dark side, this documentary was very hard to watch. So don't watch it, motherfucker. He calls it anti-Christian and and a cheap, bigoted smear that is just another example of the media's corrupt status as the propaganda arm of the radical LGBTQ movement. This is from the man who tweeted a few weeks ago, basic common sense truth. Men cannot be women. Women cannot be men. There is no such thing as a pregnant man. 2 dudes cannot truly be married. Neither can 2 women. The anus is not a sex organ. Bless his heart. It's for pooping. Men and women can leave homosexuality and transgenderism behind. This man has never had a good fuck in his life.
I only put it in because he's such a bygone bigot from like the early 2000s. But I just love that, you are a grown man that wrote on the internet, on Al Gore's internet, the anus is for pooping. Well, it's also for a little prostate massage, and heterosexual men enjoy that just as well. It's not even strictly homosexual, sir. And that he feels betrayed by his former brethren in arms against the homosexual agenda. I love that he watched this documentary and just, though you used to be my friend, looking at those used to be ex-gays that have come back out, so to speak, and just feels betrayed by them.
He said it's anti-Christian, which I would say, that kind of Christian, sure, anti that kind of Christian, and a cheap bigoted smear. Well, yeah, it's a smear against bigots, sir. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So you got it right.
I haven't watched it yet, but actually it's funny. There's an out Baylor alumni that's involved in the publicity and promotion of the movie. That was very exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, up next. In case you don't know, OnlyFans is an app on your telephone that was started originally as a way for celebrities or known personalities to create content exclusively for their fans. You pay a monthly subscription and you get access to photos and videos that only you can see if you sign up and subscribe. Well, it very quickly became predominantly known and widely known for adult content from performers and sex workers. They announced yesterday that they will block sexually explicit content starting in October. It's reportedly an effort to raise money from investors and to satisfy banking industry pressure because, there's weird gray areas around sex work and prostitution and where it's legal and what isn't. They're saying users can still post nude photos and videos consistent with OnlyFans policies. But if people showed up to see butthole, they don't want to see your tasteful nude standing in a grove of, fir trees or whatever. And it ties back to that whole Sesta Fosta law debacle that had the goal of fighting sex trafficking, but it ended up stifling online sex work and, Craigslist ended, Backpage ended because sites could be liable. And performers like OnlyFans because it gives them the power over their work and their body and their control over the content and the income stream. So it's been a big hubbub on the last 24 hours, and particularly because I don't know if you all saw, I noticed a significant uptick in people across my social sphere who started OnlyFans accounts during lockdowns in pandemic. People who were out of work, people who lost other jobs, who had a way to make money at home while we were in lockdown, people who paid rent that way. So also the people who were relying on it exploded as well. And so they built their brand on the backs of these people and then basically just said, sorry, now we want to try to be quote unquote mainstream. And it just seems really shitty.
It seems shitty and it seems stupid to me because I can't imagine. I mean, what do they get? 30%, something like that?
Yeah, some 20 or 30. Yeah.
They're going to really, I mean, for wanting these investors or wanting to satisfy banks or whatever, I feel like they're going to take a huge hit. So, well,
tons of people have talked about that's what happened to Tumblr. Tumblr tried to go family friendly and they went from a value of $1 billion to 3 million.
Oh, wow.
When they banned adult content. And it's basically like nobody uses it anymore.
Yeah, well, but there are other yes. ones.
Just for Fans has talked about that they are started, run, staffed, and managed by all sex workers, and that they say we are a porn site. That is what we do, so people can migrate there. But there's just
another one too, Emerson, that was I was told, I think by my friend Brad Loki, his friend Austin Wolf, who's actually one of my favorite porn stars, he started For My Fans. And
there you go.
So and that has so much gay content from what I've heard.
It's also the puritanical is society dismissal of people who do sex work, as if that isn't hard. For those of you who don't enjoy this kind of content, these people are now full-time at home production studios, video editors, marketers, lighting, producer. They schedule shoots with each other. The work part of sex work for that is work.
Oh, and they have to stay in shape and stuff.
And they got to get to the gym and also, some fans of anything, it's more, new, different. You start out with a tasteful bulge and suddenly you're getting double fisted to keep, people interested. Escalation. But it's just silly to treat people who made your brand. It's why Beyonce mentioned it in a song. The only reason people know it in the wider culture is from the adult content. So,
there you go.
Well, we're more than past the halfway house point of this show. And if you like the nonsense and the news that we try to bring you, you can send us a tip on Venmo to @EmersonCollins or on PayPal to beardcollinshoresproductions@gmail.com. Thank you to Bob Bielenberg, who's already made his contribution today.
Thank you, Bob.
It's in the ticker below. And remember, if you're listening back later on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, or Alexa, whatever, our Venmo and PayPal still work then too. They work 24 hours a day, anytime. We'll take your money any hour of the day or night.
And if you can, as we always say, just share us. Just write a review or something.
That's
good.
Right.
Don't write a bad review and not tip us.
I
mean, you'd be the shittiest person on the earth.
Yes.
All right. I love Emerson that I actually have Louise by me because you know how we miss laughter, and she's actually laughing at my jokes, and I feel like it's not just the Chihuahuas who look at me blankly and they don't appreciate it. Louise is appreciating my jokes today.
Yes.
All right. This Monderna, one of the makers of the vaccines that many of you probably have, began human trials this week on 2 Monderna-based HIV vaccines. The study is the phase 1 stage, where it could measure vaccine safety and collect information on whether the potential vaccine has an impact on HIV. It would then move into phase 2 and 3 to collect data on whether it is effective or not. The potential vaccines have been determined safe testing on humans, and they're looking for 56 participants for the trial set to begin yesterday and end in 2023. This attempt is different than past because using the Monderna approach or the mRNA approach. It inserts mRNA strands into human cells, which basically is a recipe of bits of protein that are also on the virus. And then the immune cells can look for these proteins and attack them. Did y'all notice how I acted like I know what I'm saying, that I'm so scientific here? Scientists say that the mRNA approach also makes it easier to develop vaccines against variants. So I hope that, God, this is so needed, long time coming. But I think that what we have seen with the success of the vaccinations with COVID, that this gives us hope. I mean,
it's one of the most exciting things is if they've learned so much through this vaccine around the world that they are able to translate this quickly to other things, and being able to quickly address variants is particularly helpful in the variations on HIV strains as well. So a great thing that they are doing out of what we already know. I'm just going to skip this next one completely. Oh, no, I need to do it because it sets up the next one. Lil Nausics, my new fave, continues to fly high. He's now the top stream rapper on Spotify. He dethroned DaBaby. I just skipped this big long story that happened for a couple of weeks where he's been on a downward spiral. He said a bunch of anti-gay, stigma-inducing comments about people living with HIV. He got a lecture from Elton John. He was dropped from a bunch of festivals. He apologized, deleted the apology. And y'all, this whole DaBaby kerfuffle somehow led to Leslie Jordan being asked about rapper T.I.'s defense of DaBaby. Well, Leslie said he'd never heard of T.I., called him TMI comedy, which led to T.I. inviting Leslie for a sit down very respectfully in the comments. And Leslie said that they could someday when they were in the same town. It was a long ass story that's been going on. That's the Cliff Notes. I included it because it eventually made it to Leslie. And then Lil Nausics did a recent interview and said, the honest truth is, I don't want to speak on a lot of the homophobia within rap because I feel like this is a very dangerous playing field. It's more for my own safety rather than anything else. He said he feels unsafe, especially after Call Me By Your Name. There was literally someone who chased his car and yelling, fuck you. And he started getting security. He said, I feel like it couldn't be a coincidence. Like that the homophobia against him and his work is having real world danger accompanying it. But in a much lighter note, he also said he is dating. He didn't say who, but he told Variety, I found someone special now. I think this is the one. I can't explain it. It's just a feeling. And that man deserves to be so happy.
I'll do my sissy imitation. Ow. I loved this story when I read it. I actually knew this next story. There's a woman on Twitter that shared, I had a coffee date with a guy yesterday. And when he went to the bathroom, the gay guy sitting behind me passed me this note. And the note said, a warning. It was scribbled on a CVS receipt. Y'all, when I read that it was scribbled on a CVS receipt, I go, well, that could have been like a one-act play. Have you seen those CVS receipts? And he wrote, too many red flags. Run. Be safe, girl. It's like, so people asked what the red flags were, and her follow-ups explained that her date disagreed with her over DaBaby's recent homophobic remarks and praised a sexist YouTuber. And she said, well, I recognize the red flags, but I wasn't in danger. So I thought, well, I'll just stay. And of course, I had to debate him. I'm sure my guardian angel was exhausted and was like, bitch, leave. There were a few other glaring red flags that I won't mention, but don't worry. I would have recognized them with or without the note, the CVS receipt. But the note was greatly appreciated and added some laughs to my night. There won't be a second date. So I guess girl did run. A user pointed out, men who date men know men. You might want to listen, girl.
I mean, that is a fairy godmother, literally.
Yes. But right, I just love that he had that CVS receipt.
Have you ever done that? Like leaned over and weighed into somebody's conversation at another table?
I've asked for chips, but I.
That is not. That's interrupting someone's conversation.
I just have urges sometimes. Can I have some? Are you going to eat that?
That's surprising to me, actually. I would have thought that you would have been more inclined to have been like hearing somebody talking. Excuse me, I just need to say.
Well, thank you for the encouragement, Emerson. I will do that from now on.
I just couldn't help but overhear.
I couldn't help but overhear about your marriage. And let me just tell you from that, dating that younger guy, it's not from the experience. Could I have that? Are you going to eat that guacamole?
But look, it sounds like you and your mother just shouldn't spend that much time together. Maybe you should limit your visits to just 24 hours. I would just have thought you'd have done that at an airport or a bus or a train.
Seriously, I mean, with the pandemic, I probably won't for a while, but I think I may start.
Why not?
Oh goodness, I feel like we're giddy. We are tired and we're a little bit giddy. So forgive us with this crazy show.
Like you're talking and I'm over here like trying to like download the movie into this app to see if I can turn the volume up on it so it can output while we're doing this.
I see. I don't have the ability. Y'all notice that Emerson gives me that slide where it's just me on screen. I don't have that control, and he never gives him, so I can go off and masturbate or whatever you do.
Jeffrey tubing his way through the evening.
Wouldn't that be awful if you pushed me away and then I came back? And in bigotry news,
just a little bit of forehead sweat, just a little bit flushed. So, oh, Dale, you've got some color.
Okay,
all right, rolling on. We talked all about the Olympics and how much I love them, and we are headed towards the beginning of the Paralympics, which start on the 24th and run through the beginning of September. They have followed the Olympics since 1960 in the summer, and I believe 68 or 72 in the winter. Outsports, once again, tracking out athletes. At least 23 athletes who are out will compete in 12 sports. About 4% of Paralympians, almost double the number from Rio 5 years ago. The U.S. has 7, this time right behind Team Great Britain with 8. Like this summer's Olympics in Tokyo, the other Olympics, the first openly trans and non-binary competitor, Robin Lambert, there on the screen, will represent Australia in the 100-meter women's wheelchair race. Now, all of the out Paralympians are women, except for one male athlete, Great Britain's Lee Pearson on the left, an 11-time gold medalist in para-equestrian sports. 11 times.
Wow.
Sir. That's, at that point, it's just greedy. It's just
that's like when Kelsey Grammer and Allison Janney just kept on winning the Emmys, and it's like, just stop.
I have said for all time, once you have won an Emmy for a role, you should not be eligible to win the Emmy again for that same role. It would open up the nominations to other people. It would ensure every year there's a new winner, because Allison Janney as CJ Craig in The West Wing is one of my favorite TV performances of all time. But once we told you you're the best, we expect you to keep being the best the next 3 or 4 seasons or whatever.
Do you remember that awkward year where she seemed kind of a little intoxicated and tried to give it to somebody, tried to bring them on stage and give it?
Was it the Christine Lottie? Who was it? She forced someone, I think, to come up on stage.
And it was so awkward. It was kind of the opposite of when Kanye told Taylor Swift she didn't deserve that award.
Mm-hmm. Was it Mariska Hargitay? I forget.
Oh, I think it was. You're right. Yeah. I believe it was. It was her. But
yeah. And they would never go to that because it's great for a show to be able to say, we won another Emmy this year for the same person. But just for the actors, I feel like once you've won for that award, that role, we have said you doing that is the best thing there is on television. Of course, it's going to be good again the next year.
I believe that Kelsey Grammer actually recused himself from being nominated after he won like 5 or 6 or something.
I stopped paying attention to his life once Camille left his ass.
Well, that was before Camille. This is when we when we were doing Cheers and Frasier. So anyway, all right. Well, our heroes, the Texas Democrats, after 38 days, they held out to block the GOP voting bill and it's come to an end. So before that, the Texas Speaker of the House, Dade Phelan, had signed a civil arrest warrant for all 52 of them who fled the state, including out lesbian Represented Celia Israel, or Celia Israel. I think it's Israel, but for Celia, it meant more than leaving. It meant canceling her wedding to Celinda Garza, her partner of 26 years. The two had planned a July 15th wedding on the Texas House floor. For her, it was a statement in a state legislature with a long history of passing anti-LGBTQ legislation. She was in a fitting for her wedding outfit when she got the call to leave the state. Celinda wasn't happy. She said, we got in the car heading back home from South Texas, and I said, I'm really sorry, honey. I'm really, really sorry. And I said, politics is dumb. And she said, yeah, politics is dumb. She didn't say that's okay, baby.
Right.
Said, no, politics is dumb. Israel said the two had planned on attending a country music festival in Marathon, Texas after the wedding, where, you know, I don't know who was performing, but they missed it.
But also, Celia was literally a runaway bride.
Just like if she was,
What, you know what?
or however they identified, bride, whatever.
The Celinda, you know, she was like, did you just convince those 51 other Democrats to leave the state of Texas because after 26 years you got cold feet about our wedding ceremony? Like, can you imagine? And I love that she was like, I'm so sorry. And she was like, arms crossed. I can just see it. Yes, politics is dumb. She did not say, oh, honey, it's important, you know, what you're doing for the people and voting rights and trans kids and all of the. No, she said, no, you ruined our wedding. 26 years she waited.
She was in a fitting. She goes, honey, the waist needs to be cinched just so, oh, I gotta go.
Literally got the phone call, running out of the fitting of her wedding ensemble. And I can just see, Celinda, I hope for the rest of their lives, she's like, you made me wait 26 years and 38 days.
Well,
38 days.
Maybe they could do some amazing wedding on the steps or something.
Of course. But and I love that she wanted to do it there for our community to point out what was done against us and is still continuing to be done as they're back. Abbott is fighting for those anti-trans legislation. Even using her wedding as symbolism for our community shows why she's such a good representative for the people she represents and for our community. So genuine applause to the Democrats for doing something to draw national attention to the voting rights issues there as we head that way.
As we do. You know what? I just hope it backfires so badly on them. I hope that it just activates everybody to just rush to the polls and say, you know what? Texas is blue, motherfuckers.
I know, same. I'm like, it's time, Beto. It's time.
Beyond.
It's like, I hope it makes enough people ready for him in 2020, because it's 2022. It's next year is that election. So you can bet I'll be on the phones and writing postcards for Beto.
Is Beto running for sure?
I feel like I don't know. I didn't know that it was like an official announcement, but I know that's been big discussion and he's been visible and vocal again lately. So hopefully we're laying the groundwork for that.
Yes, absolutely.
And right, in ridiculous celebrity news, I love this story so much. Obviously, you know, Barbra Streisand has meant a lot in my life personally, as I did Byron Seller, the story of Barbra Streisand's basement. Blake did Blake Sings Barbra. She means a lot at our house. Barbra hasn't had any fucks to give for so long. I don't know that she ever knew how to have one. She did an interview for Australia recently that was just hysterical to me. The interviewer gushed about Beyonce's magical rendition of The Way We Were at the Kennedy Center Honors where Barbra was honored. And she asked, was that as powerful as it looked? And when I tell you all, if you've never seen it, go to the YouTube and watch Beyonce sing The Way We Were. It is magical. It is magnificent. It is such a lovely tribute, a different interpretation that is very respectful. It did great honor to the song and to Barbra. But Barbra said, well, she first sang it once, and I can't do a good impression. Well, she first sang it once, and I didn't think it was good enough for her. I always think like a director, and I want the best for my actors and singers. I know she did it over, and she did it beautifully the second time. She did not need to tell anybody that story. Wilkinson asked if Beyonce knew Barbra didn't think the first take was good enough. And Barbra said, I think she knew it. I think she was the one who actually asked to do it over. She straight up just said, Beyonce didn't do great, but it was much better the second time. That's just her answer. It did not stop there. They then moved on to discuss the A Star Is Born remake with Lady Gaga. And Barbra said, at first, when I heard it was going to be done again, it was supposed to be Will Smith and Beyonce. And I thought, that's interesting. Really make it different again. Different kind of music, integrated actors. I thought it was a great idea. So I was surprised when I saw how alike it was to the version that I did in 1976. She just said Lady Gaga made a copycat. The host said the similarities were probably a compliment, trying to help it out. And Barbra said, I thought it was the wrong idea. And then she said later, after they were like, well, it was successful, she said, I don't care so much about success as I do about originality. Like, the amount of like unintentional shade that her direct, unfiltered opinions, like Barbra, save that for your group chat with Ryan Murphy.
But she doesn't really do many interviews. So it would.
She's got this new album, another one of those albums of like unreleased tracks from over the years. I think it's promoting that.
Okay. All right. Well, we, I love her. I just love her.
Yes.
Jack Daniels, yes, the liquor, is getting into the drag queen game. I was just. I
know, that's what
it's like, what? I mean, maybe Evan Williams, but not Jack Daniels. Or so, but with a 3-episode web series to promote Jack Daniels Tennessee Fire, a flavored whiskey. I felt like I needed to go get some. So RuPaul's drag queens, Bibi Zahara Benet, Trinity the Tuck, and Manila Luzon, one of your favorites, right?
Yes.
They star, and they arrive at the Jack Daniel Distillery for Drag Queen Summer Glamp. They compete in glamping challenges with barbecue and get the product placement as they learn about the whiskey from the Jack Daniels employees before they make a pride soiree. Bibi said, the idea of 3 big city drag queens glamping out at the iconic Jack Daniels Distillery was an experience I could not pass up. Of course, the free liquor. Trinity said, as someone from a small town in Alabama, I'm thrilled to be a part of a series that promotes dialogue between different communities while raising visibility of the LGBTQ plus people in rural areas. So y'all can watch them at jackfirepride.com. Jackfirepride.com. How may I direct your call?
Excuse me, I'd like to speak to Trinity the Tuck.
Listen, I'm not really loving this drag queen stuff.
No, do you go? Now, I saw something about a summer glamp. Now, I've done a lot of camping in my years, but I got to be honest. I don't know. I could be interested in a glamp. I could be convinced. I like a feathery wrap thing. I'm curious. You might say I'm curious. That's all. It's mostly about the whiskey, mostly. But whether they're going to be there, those nice ladies.
And the Baptists were going to protest, but they said, well, that means we have to admit we're drinking Jack Daniels.
Yeah. Now, obviously, it's just a giant product placement commercial. But when I saw it, I was genuinely impressed. Because when you think about, what kind of brands usually target our community, I would not have thought Jack Daniels in that list. So I found it all the more impressive that for them, it was a good idea to come out to pursue our dollars and not be worried about anybody else, seeing this stuff. So does that make sense? It's a little bit like obviously it's pure product placement. But I was like, that's a big investment in a queer looking thing.
I wish they would, resurrect Jack Daniels Save My Soul Tonight from Sordid Lives, the series, and have Olivia Newton have the theme song.
Yes, I love that. Hold on, we got to back up a little bit for a moment. Brent said, I never realized Barbra had an Italian accent. And then Michael said, was it Italian or Eastern European? Now, full disclosure, y'all, I was brilliant in Buyer and Seller. I won an award. I won the Desert Theater League Award for Best Actor in a Comedy. But the narrator of the play, before he pretends to be Barbra later in the show, says as a disclaimer, now I don't do her. I don't do impressions in general as an excuse for doing a bad Barbra and Streisand impression. So I did not have to get good at it. But when I first auditioned for the play, I got the audition notification laying in a hospital bed at Cedars-Sinai for this role for an audition 3 days later after I had my appendix taken out. It was twice as big as it's supposed to be for you size queens out there. And so I had to learn these audition monologues. And I said, I'm not learning the Barbra monologues because I was on Percocet trying to practice the monologues. And Blake is a huge Barbra Streisand fan. And I sort of tried to do some kind of Barbra impression. And he said, no, it sounds like Marlon Brando. You cannot do that in public.
Oh, you have to admit one thing about Mr. MacGyver. He does tell the truth.
Yes.
He doesn't mince his words.
Unvarnished. You two share that.
Yes, we do. And it
with Barbra.
Makes people not like me.
You're not gonna bring that story. Wait, that person does not listen. Y'all, you ever tell a story that you think is funny to somebody else and you think you have a moment? Well, Della shares an adventure with another person in my life, and they have different perceptions of the situation, and it keeps coming up, and only one party finds it as hilarious, and that's what he's referencing right now. In fairness, it is very funny. The other person is sensitive in the moment, so we're just communicating across that challenge. I thought you were putting up that middle finger at me.
I was not. Not at all.
Not a little
there was
bit.
something that was in my head, and it just flew out, and I don't know what it was. We're getting to the end of the show, so I think it was that we need to loop back and tell you all. You have to watch the Southern. If you just tune it in, please watch us on Sunday night. We will be back on my Facebook, on YouTube, same place you find this show. If you think you have not heard about it, just go to social media. It always is amazing to me when we have posted and someone says, I didn't know about it. Please share it. It is an important night to literally help support theaters and help us find that next writer, that LGBTQ writer with a very important story to tell.
Yeah. In all seriousness, y'all, we are so fortunate and so lucky that so many of you have been with us for so long across so many things and so many projects, and you show up and give your time, and it's genuinely exciting to ask you all to show up and support and give money. That's what things we're going to do for other people. It's not for us. It's not for our stuff. We're really excited with the work we can do for these theaters, for these writers. The whole foundation is exciting. The board of the foundation is amazing and doing great work. And this is just the beginning. So yes, tune in on Sunday. Say a little prayer for Spectrum and my internet and our videos. And
I promise I won't start drinking until like midway through the show.
Till halfway. Y'all, if something goes awry and people get ornery in the comments, tell jokes, distract them.
Defend us.
No, it's very exciting. It really is going to be great. I have been in awe of the work of these actors and of Dell, and thinking how long ago you wrote this story. And I will say it here on the show because I may not say it on Sunday night. We only know each other because of this play. And that is only because this play told my story, is why I was so scared and excited to do it the first time. It was one of the great brave moments of my life for where I was at 24 years old to accept being in this play. And I always find validation in how scary that was, and choosing to say yes led to us meeting and all of the things we have done since. So one of the scariest decisions of my life led to everything we have done since.
Well, and also to just piggyback on that fear, those of us who grew up in the church the way we did. And I have to say, when I wrote Southern Baptist Sissies, I was petrified to open it. I thought that, the rapture would happen the night of the opening, or something would just I really didn't think it would be successful. I didn't. I thought that it would be a big bomb, a critical bomb. I thought this will be my punishment for exposing the church, for exposing this part of myself. And I have to say that as an artist, and since we're wanting to promote storytelling and tell your story. If you're a writer, tell your story, and don't be scared.
Yeah. Say, the only thing each of us has is the uniqueness of our story, and if you don't tell it, no one else will.
Yeah.
Oh,
all
well,
right.
I love you. I love y'all.
You too.
Sunday's going to be fun. We will be back on Tuesday with what will likely be a very loose show. So bring your topics, because chances are real good I'm not going to research any stories, and we're just going to hang out as our last show before we head to Texas. So we'll be back here on Tuesday.
All right, y'all. We'll see you Sunday night. Bye.